everybody, it's your favorite piece of garbage. Today I'd like to talk about something that really sucks. Today I'd like to talk about chronic illness. Oh my god, here comes my cat. Ouch. That really hurts. Anyways, I'd like to talk about chronic illness and especially what it's like to deal with chronic illness without getting a diagnosis. So I'll just get right to it. All of this started after I contracted mono my sophomore year of college. I took a semester off because I wasn't dealing very well with my mental health. I was just having a really hard time dealing with life and I was really stressed out. So I took a semester off and I got really sick. And it's entirely unclear how I got mono because I really wasn't kissing anybody at the time. And honestly, all I was with was like my friends, so maybe that was it. I don't know. I got mono really, really bad. I had a fever almost every single day. I was in bed for about 15 to 16 hours, and I was like this for about 5 or 6 months. And when I went to MedExpress, they told me that my antibody count was so high, it was in the red range, and that I should see a doctor because my organs might explode. Yay! And I was just like, oh, this is really cool. I should do that, but I never did that. So for a while, I really had to deal with just feeling sick all the time. I had the classic mono fatigue. I was tired constantly. I had fevers. I couldn't think. I had a virus. It was really awful. About 5 or 6 months later, I started getting better. I was still sleeping a good 11, 12 hours a night, but I was starting to finally be able to do things again. I was starting to bounce back a little bit. And I thought everything was fine. I thought everything would be fine. I went back to work. I went back to school. I thought I'd be able to take it. But then things started getting worse. About a year after I had mono, I started passing out after my meals. I would fall asleep or get so dizzy that I would just be zonked out for 3 or 4 hours after I ate. And that's really frustrating. There's 3 meals in a day. You can't just set aside 3 or 4 hours to sleep after each meal and then sleep a full night, have a full night's sleep and then just expect to yeah, I can get work done. Yeah, I can get my schoolwork done. No! I barely survived my classes. I'd be in class and I'd just be oh wow, I'm not comprehending what's going on. And it started getting worse and worse. And I had this one class with this awesome professor, by the way. And, she's friends with my mom. I thought she was really cool. I wanted to do really well in her class. But I noticed, her class was right at lunchtime. And I would usually eat lunch right before her class. And I'd sit down and I would just, I would start taking my notes. And I noticed my hand started slipping. I was losing motor function in my hand. And my handwriting got really sloppy. And it was just a mess. My handwriting got really sloppy. I couldn't pay attention. I started noticing my notes were illegible. I could barely keep my eyes open. I started passing out during the class. I would notice my head falling and then I'd kind of jolt myself awake, and I wasn't tired. It's my body was just shutting down. So let's cut to the symptoms that I'm starting to experience now. Fatigue, I sleep about 11 to 15 hours a night, but really the biggest factor is how much I eat. Because if I eat more than a snack, basically, I will get exhausted. It's I'll be so starved for energy, and then I do the one thing that is supposed to give me more energy, and I don't get any. I also experience dizziness. Basically, anytime I go to walk somewhere, I have extreme vertigo. I have vertigo when I sit up, stand up, lay down, sit down. Basically, anytime I change positions, I get really dizzy. And I have a hard time just feeling the world's not going like this. It's really weird. The worst part is when I'm driving, and then I'll feel like I'm drunk driving. And usually that's about the time that I either pull over and sleep for several hours, or I force myself to get home, not a good decision, and just pass out or just lay there for hours because I have no energy. It's almost like my brain is starved for something. Another one of my symptoms is neck pain, neck spasms. I started getting neck pain and neck spasms a little over a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. I noticed at a singing competition that my neck started responding really strangely. Like, it kind of felt like I had a barrel of, like, little plastic monkeys from Toy Story, like, jumping around in my throat. And my voice teacher was like, yeah, that's probably not a good thing. Maybe you're just sick. And I was like, I hope you're right, because if I'm not, that would really suck. It really sucks. I went to the doctor. They told me I had a muscle spasmodia. It's not fun. It's not a good time. None of this is a good time. Spoiler alert. So another one of my symptoms is high heart rate on top of low blood pressure. Now, this is a little bit concerning because this has been steadily increasing over the past couple of weeks. I was put on an event monitor because I started having chest pains a couple months ago. I told my doctor, and he said, well, you should probably see a cardiologist. And I said, you're probably right. Started wearing an event monitor, and basically what an event monitor is, it's like this little thing with like 3 sticky stickers that go on your body. There's like one on the right side of your chest, one on the left side of your chest, and then one underneath your left breast. Basically, there's these wires that attach to each one, and it just kind of monitors your electric heart activity, and I would report things that I was feeling, like, for example, if I was feeling dizziness, shortness of breath, heart palpitations, chest pain. The worst part is I would often feel all 4 of those things, but I could only report 1. Which to choose? I feel all of these! Now, this symptom is the worst symptom. I experience a lot of brain fog. Now, I already struggle with ADHD. I've been diagnosed since I was a child, and I definitely have adult ADHD. I went to my school psychiatrist and, like, was evaluated over a span of several months just to, like, be sure that I still have ADHD. And guess what? I still have ADHD. But I noticed that it has been getting progressively worse over time, especially with my health declining. It's almost like I can't hang on to memories. More and more is being lost. I've started to lose belongings more often. I struggle to talk a lot of the time. I struggle to think of what I'm going to say. I tend to stutter a lot more than I used to. If I can make a metaphor out of this, it's almost like my brain is this little tiny battery, and it's like I'm trying to power a whole stadium with just this little tiny battery. And my brain's the stadium. I don't think this situation takes double A's, but the world is just like, oh hey, we're still here, we're still going on, everything's still going on, and you still have to participate because you're a human being, and this is life, and yeah! The last couple symptoms that I have are muscle weakness and temporary muscle paralysis, specifically in my legs, and I experience a lot of weakness in my arms, basically any muscles that I use. The worst is the pain that I feel through here. I've noticed, like, I always feel really swollen from, like, here all the way down to, like, my collarbone. It always feels like someone, like, opened up my skin, dropped a bunch of marbles inside, and then closed it up. I can't do any of the things I really loved anymore. I can't sing anymore. That's probably the most hurtful part, because that was basically, like, everything I lived for. The temporary muscle paralysis is really pretty awful. Like, I've had times where, like, if I push through it, because a lot of the times people have this misconception that you can just push through, and you can just, you know, oh, well, you're just tired, just push through it. And I thought so too. I thought this was something that I could push through, so I would try. I remember distinctly the first time I fell over. I was trying to mow our backyard with a self-propelled mower, no less. And I couldn't get it up the hill, and I was getting so angry because I used to be very strong. And this was very frustrating for me because this should have been a piece of cake. So I just tried, and I kept trying, and I kept trying, and my feet were being pushed back. And, hello. And my feet were being pushed back, and it was just like the whole world was resisting me, and I couldn't get this mower up the hill to save my life. And I fell over, and my heart pounded in my chest. It felt like it was just slamming the outside of my rib cage, and I couldn't move. I could barely talk, and I was stuck there for several minutes. And then the second time it happened, I was at my boyfriend's grandparents' house. and they had this really cute boxer, and she was running around outside, and I was running around with her, and I started feeling it. I started feeling that exhaustion, and I was like, no, this is my time. I'm gonna play with this cute dog. And then all of a sudden I felt my heart getting labored. Next thing I know, I was on the ground. I think I might have been out for a couple of seconds. I'm not entirely sure, because I can't really remember, because my brain goes really fuzzy in these moments. And then my boyfriend saw me on the ground, and he eventually came over and helped me inside, but I couldn't move for like the next hour. All of my muscles had to regain their strength, and it didn't make any sense. So anyways, some advice I would have for people who don't deal with chronic illness. If you don't have chronic illness, first of all, be very grateful. It really does suck when you can't function like normal, and it's just not a good time. And something else I'd like to say is never expect it not to be you, because I totally went through like my entire life expecting it not to be me. I was healthy. I was so healthy. It was sickening. And, just like never expect that not to happen, because it can happen to anyone. Don't underestimate the energy levels of other people, because you never know what they're going through. You never know if they have an autoimmune disease. You never know if someone is dealing with some other illness that is invisible to you. You never know if someone's dealing with chronic fatigue. Like, you just never know. I feel like I'm in energy debt all the time. Like, it took so much energy for me to make this, but I made it because I feel like this is important. I feel like it's so important for people to know that, like, there is an experience outside of being healthy and being normal, and it can happen to you. Keep that in mind, and if it does happen to you, don't freak out. It's gonna take a long time to figure it out. If you're anything like me, or your symptoms are anything like mine, and if you live in an area like I do that doesn't have the best doctors, it's going to take several years to figure it out. It's going to take time to see what could really be bothering you. It's a big process of elimination, and, it's gonna suck. It always sucks. You have to keep the open mind that maybe it will get better. Maybe it won't, but maybe it will. You don't know. You can't know. Just like I can't know. Things are pretty black right now, I'm not gonna lie. But no one can really know our potential to get better. And if you are that driven to finding the answers and to finding a way to feel better, good for you. Also, if you have chronic illness and would like to talk to me, or you need to talk to someone and would like support, I am always here. I am always willing to read your comments, to respond to you, to talk about especially the emotional side of these things, because the emotional side really is just as not fun as the physical side. Because what people don't realize is once you get sick and you have so many abilities taken away from you so quickly, like your ability to walk, or your ability to, like, do anything physical, or the ability to do the thing you love, it takes such a toll on your mind. It's just not fun. It's just not fun. That's all I can say. I'm trying to make this fun, because there is no fun to be had when you are sick. People like to think, like, oh, it'd be so nice if I could lay in bed all day. But really, it's not nice. You feel like garbage. You feel like the value of your life has gone away because you can no longer do anything you ever aspired to do. And that's the hardest thing anyone can face, really. But anyways, that's my experience with dealing with chronic illness and not getting a diagnosis. I hope you found this informative, educational, and somewhat entertaining. A little bit entertaining. I'm not really an entertainer, or I used to be, but, whatever. And I will talk to you guys later, hopefully with a diagnosis. Bye!